What the hell is wrong with you guys? The reason they're here is because of open borders that you guys perpetrated for 4 years. And to come in here and to turn this into a MAGA Republican idiotic low IQ lecture is sickening.
They came to Congress seeking justice for their stolen children, but what they found instead was a lecture on partisan politics. Watch as a routine hearing transforms into a raw, unfiltered explosion of grief and fury. Pay attention to what shifts.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing, and thank you to the witnesses for coming here and telling us your stories and your family's stories. Before we get into that, I think it's worth saying that was one of the most disgusting testimonies I have ever heard. To have Hank come in here and lecture angel families about how they shouldn't be here, how we shouldn't be holding this hearing. What the hell is wrong with you guys? The reason they're here is because of open borders that you guys perpetrated for 4 years. And to come in here and to turn this into a MAGA Republican idiotic low IQ lecture is sickening. To whine about which seats they're in, it's disgusting. That said, I'd like to give you guys a chance to respond to some of the things that you've heard, and I'll start with you, Ms. Wilkerson.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that it was a spoken policy of Houston to be a sanctuary. It wasn't written at that point, and so the suburbs around Houston followed that same policy. And East Parker's kind of laughable to me. This hearing could also be about why we're not, or people aren't voting. You know, there's a slush fund for people up here in these places that have committed crimes, or people have said, oh, you've raped and stuff. But, you know, this hearing could have been about that too, but it's not. It's about our kids that we lost, and about the very fact that sanctuary city policies is creating a haven for people that came to this country illegally. Thank you.
You can put me in whatever order, in whatever seat. My tragedy is never going to be okay. I will be last, I will be first, I will be 42nd seat, if that's what you want. But we're so used to hearing everyone tell us, but we're sorry, please, here are condolences, but this hearing should be about this. This hearing should be about me, but it's not. Today's our day. Hear us. Leave your butts in your seat. I don't want to hear your butts. Our tragedies are disgusting.
The atmosphere in the room completely fractures here. What we are witnessing is the total collapse of the procedural facade. While the mainstream narrative often sanitizes these hearings into sound bites about policy and immigration statistics, the raw reality is far more uncomfortable. The witness isn't just arguing against a specific law. She is dismantling the very culture of Washington, where human tragedy is habitually used as a secondary prop for pre-written talking points.
I still wait for my children to come home. It's not real to me. My 11-year-old, my 16-year-old, they're waiting for their car to come home with Brady and Hallie in it, because guess what? It's evidence. We can't have that back yet. My garage stall is empty. So the girls say, Mom, we still think they're gonna come home and tell us all about the concert and celebrating their anniversary. Because the car's not here. They'll come home, won't they? We can't pick a headstone because that makes it too real. But you can sit here and tell us about what kind of hearing this should be. Renee Good is not the same as Angel Family. She made a choice. She left her home that day, made the choice. Brady and Hallie didn't get a choice. Carissa didn't get a choice. Joshua didn't get a choice. They are living American laws, the American dream. They're trying to make this place better, and they were stolen by somebody who doesn't care. But give me all your butts. I'm used to it.
I don't know if anybody has noticed, but I am not white. I wake up brown every day. I'm not sure what race has to do with any of this. 4, There's 4 kids that we talked about today, and y'all can't seem to stay on topic for what? An hour of your time? You got to bring up what about? No, we're talking about these 4 kids. We're talking about angel families. Stay on topic. I don't want to talk about Epstein right now. That's another hearing. I don't want to talk about ICE detainees. That's another hearing. Right now, today, we're talking about sanctuary policies and how they have wrecked our families. Y'all come and y'all feed Carissa. You get her up from her bed using a crane. And then you tell me and lecture me what this hearing should be about.
What we just witnessed wasn't a debate, it was an eviction. For a few brief, searing minutes, the scripted reality of a House Judiciary hearing was replaced by the undeniable weight of human consequence. When the witness told the committee to leave your butts in your seat, she wasn't just expressing frustration, she was reclaiming a space that has become increasingly hollow. The revelation here isn't about immigration law or sanctuary city statistics, it's about the death of political shame. We saw a sitting congressman attempt to dilute the specific grief of the families in front of him by reading a list of unrelated crimes, essentially trying to balance a ledger of blood. The mainstream narrative wants to frame this as robust debate, but that's a lie. It was a tactical attempt to pivot away from a failure that has no easy answer. By bringing up white males and Epstein files in response to mothers who lost children to illegal immigrant crime, the strategy was clear. If you can't defend the policy, distract from the victims. But here is what nobody is asking. How did we get to a point where a parent's grief is viewed as a political trap to be navigated rather than a tragedy to be addressed? Think about what this means if you are sitting on the other side of this. If you are a lawmaker whose primary goal is to ensure that a hearing doesn't look bad for your party, you have already abandoned the purpose of your office. Supporters of the congressman's line of questioning would argue that he was providing context, attempting to show that violence is a multifaceted issue not limited to one demographic. They argue that focusing only on crimes by undocumented immigrants fuels a specific harmful narrative. On the other side, critics, and clearly the families present, see this as the ultimate form of gaslighting. To them, it is a refusal to acknowledge that a specific set of policies led to a specific set of funerals. What both camps are missing is that this isn't about balance. Law is not a social science experiment where one tragedy cancels out another. The families were there to discuss sanctuary policies, a specific legal framework, and they were met with a lecture on low IQ Republican tactics. It was a masterclass in modern political deflection. Why now? That is the question. As the 2026 election cycle looms, the stakes of the border conversation have moved beyond the theoretical. These hearings are becoming more volatile because the reality on the ground is becoming harder to ignore. The tension we saw today is a preview of the national mood, a boiling point where citizens are no longer willing to accept condolences, followed by a but. If this is the analysis you are not finding anywhere else, you already know what to do. The exchange between Mr. Gill and the witnesses proves that the divide in Washington isn't just between the left and the right. It's between the people who live with the consequences of policy and the people who make it. When a mother has to explain that she wakes up brown every day to counter a racial narrative being pushed by a politician, the system is fundamentally broken. This story is not finished because the